Your life will stay the same until this changes, and what I'm about to tell you may be uncomfortable, but it's the truth that sets people free. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They fail because they keep repeating the same patterns while expecting a different outcome. They change their goals, they change their environment, they change the people around them, but they never change the one thing that truly controls everything else, their standards. Your standards are the invisible rules you live by, and until those rules rise, your life will not. Look at your life honestly, not your dreams, not your intentions, your results. Your results are a mirror. They reflect the standards you've been tolerating for years. If you're tolerating average relationships, average energy, average focus, average discipline, then average will continue to be your reality. The problem is not that you don't want more. The problem is that you haven't decided what you will no longer accept. Change does not begin with hope. It begins with a decision so strong that excuses can't survive it. Most people wait for motivation, but winners know motivation follows action. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems and standards. When you raise your standards, your behavior changes instantly. When you decide, this is who I am now, this is what I do, this is what I will not tolerate anymore, everything shifts. Your body changes, your focus sharpens. Your relationships either rise with you or fall away. That's not loss, that's alignment. Understand this: pain is not your enemy, comfort is. Pain pushes you to grow, comfort keeps you stuck. The reason people stay in lives they hate is because the pain of change feels greater than the pain of staying the same, but that equation always flips, always. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. If you don't change what you do daily, you are choosing your future, and it's the same one you're living now. You don't need more time. You don't need more resources. You don't need permission. What you need is a new identity backed by massive action. Decide who you are today, not someday. Decide what excellence means for you. Decide what standards you demand from yourself when no one is watching. Because the moment you change your standards, your life has no choice but to change with you. So don't ask, what do I want? Ask, what am I committed to? Commitment creates clarity. Commitment creates power. Commitment turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. Your life will stay the same until this changes, but the moment it does, everything changes. And that moment is not tomorrow, it's now. Most people believe their life will change the moment they set bigger goals, but goals alone don't have the power people think they do. You can write down the most inspiring goals, visualize them daily, and talk about them endlessly, yet still stay stuck in the same place. Why? Because goals are what you want, while standards are what you accept. If your standards allow laziness, excuses, or low effort, your life will always drift back to that level no matter how high your goals are. Your standards act like a thermostat for your life, quietly deciding how far you rise or how low you fall. Think about what you tolerate every single day: late mornings, broken promises to yourself, unhealthy habits, disrespect, fear-driven decisions. These are not small things, they are votes for the life you are living. Every time you tolerate something that weakens you, you reinforce a standard that says, this is okay for me. Over time, these tolerances compound, shaping your identity and your outcomes. Life doesn't respond to what you hope for, it responds to what you repeatedly allow. Raising your standards is not about perfection, it's about non-negotiables. It's the moment you decide, I no longer accept this version of myself. When that decision is real, behavior changes immediately. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop waiting for motivation. You take action because your identity demands it. This is why real change often feels instant, because the standard has shifted, and anything below it becomes unacceptable. Most people stay stuck because the pain of staying the same feels familiar, while the pain of change feels uncertain. But comfort is deceptive. It slowly drains ambition, dulls urgency, and convinces you that tomorrow will be different without you doing anything differently. High standards interrupt comfort. They force you to act when you don't feel like it, to show up when it's inconvenient, and to grow when it's uncomfortable. That discomfort is not a problem. It's proof you're evolving. Your environment, relationships, and routines will always align with your standards. If you demand excellence from yourself, you naturally attract higher level people and opportunities. If you tolerate mediocrity, you surround yourself with reasons to stay small. This isn't about luck or privilege, it's about alignment. Life reorganizes itself around what you believe you deserve and what you consistently require of yourself. The most powerful moment in anyone's life is when they stop asking, what do I want? And start asking, what will I no longer tolerate? That shift changes how you speak, how you move, how you decide, and how you show up when no one is watching. Standards are quiet, but they are ruthless. They don't care about your dreams. They care about your actions. And once you raise them, your life has no choice but to rise with them. Most people judge their life by what they meant to do, not by what they actually did. They focus on intentions, plans, and dreams, believing those things should count for something. But life doesn't reward intention. It responds to action. Your bank balance, your health, your confidence, your relationships are not random events. They are the direct reflection of the decisions you've made repeatedly over time. The mirror never lies. It simply shows you the truth of your habits, even when that truth is uncomfortable to face. Every small decision you make is a vote for the future you are creating. Choosing comfort over discipline, distraction over focus, fear over courage. These choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but repeated daily, they shape your reality. Success and failure are rarely caused by one big moment. They are built quietly through patterns. The life you're living today is the outcome of hundreds of small decisions you once thought didn't matter. It's easy to blame circumstances, people, or luck when results don't match our dreams. But excuses may protect your ego, they never change your outcome. The moment you take full ownership of your results, you take back your power. Responsibility is not blame, it's freedom. Because if your decisions created your current life, then new decisions can create a new one. Patterns reveal who you really are, not who you say you want to be. You may dream of success, growth, and freedom, but if your daily actions are inconsistent, your results will always expose that gap. Discipline, focus, and follow through are not personality traits. They are choices made again and again. When you change the pattern, the reflection in the mirror must change as well. Many people wait for clarity before they act, but clarity comes from action. Momentum is born when you decide differently even before you feel ready. One empowered decision can interrupt years of unconscious behavior. When you consistently choose growth over comfort, your identity begins to shift and your results follow naturally. If you want to know where your life is headed, don't look at your dreams, look at your routines. Your future is hiding inside your daily decisions. Change the choices you repeat, and the mirror will show a different life staring back at you. Most people wait for motivation as if it's something that will magically appear and carry them forward, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes with mood, energy, and circumstances. If your progress depends on how you feel, you will stay trapped in inconsistency. Real change begins the moment you make a decision so clear and powerful that your emotions no longer get a vote. Commitment does not ask, do I feel like it today? Commitment says, this is who I am now and this is what I do. A decisive commitment draws a line in the sand. Before that line, excuses negotiate your behavior. After that line, excuses lose their power. When a decision is truly made, your brain stops searching for comfort and starts searching for solutions. You may still feel fear, resistance, or doubt, but those feelings no longer control your actions. The decision becomes the anchor that keeps you moving forward when motivation disappears. Action is the spark that creates motivation, not the other way around. The first step often feels heavy, awkward, and uncomfortable, but once you move, something shifts internally. Energy follows movement. Confidence follows effort. Momentum follows consistency. Each action proves to your mind that change is possible, and that proof generates the motivation you were waiting for. Strong decisions force new behavior because they change your identity. When you decide, I am someone who follows through, your actions must align with that identity or the discomfort becomes unbearable. This internal pressure is powerful. It pushes you to act even when no one is watching. Discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like self-respect. Many people confuse interest with commitment. Interest says, I'll try when it's convenient. Commitment says, I'll do whatever it takes. The difference shows up in results. Interest fades when things get hard. Commitment adapts, learns, and persists. The world rewards commitment because it produces consistency, and consistency compounds into mastery and success. The moment you stop waiting to feel ready and start acting from a decision, your life begins to move. Progress no longer depends on perfect conditions or perfect moods. It depends on the strength of your commitment. Action becomes your new language, and motivation becomes the byproduct of keeping promises to yourself. Comfort feels safe, familiar, and reassuring, which is exactly why it is so dangerous. When life is comfortable, there is no urgency to grow, no pressure to change, and no reason to question old habits. Comfort slowly convinces you that where you are is good enough, even when deep down you know you're capable of more. It doesn't attack you loudly, it quietly puts your ambition to sleep while time keeps moving forward. Pain, on the other hand, demands your attention. It forces you to look at what isn't working and confront the gap between who you are and who you could be. Pain disrupts routines and exposes weaknesses, but that discomfort carries a powerful message something must change. While comfort encourages avoidance, pain pushes awareness. It sharpens focus and creates the emotional leverage required to move forward. Most people don't fail because life is too hard. They fail because life becomes too easy. Predictable routines, familiar struggles, and manageable dissatisfaction create a false sense of stability. You may not be happy, but you're not uncomfortable enough to act. This is how people stay stuck for years, even decades, choosing familiar discomfort over unfamiliar growth. Discomfort is the entry price for every meaningful upgrade in life. Stronger bodies are built through physical strain. Sharper minds are formed by mental challenge. Deeper confidence grows from facing fear and acting anyway. Every level of growth requires you to stretch beyond what feels natural. The discomfort you feel during change is not a warning sign. It's proof that you are expanding beyond your limits. When you intentionally step into discomfort, you regain control. You choose growth instead of waiting for crisis to force it upon you. This kind of pain is purposeful. It builds resilience, clarity, and self-respect. Over time, what once felt uncomfortable becomes your new normal, and comfort shifts to a higher level. The real danger is not struggling, it's settling. Comfort keeps you rehearsing the same days while calling it a life. Pain, when used correctly, becomes a guide pointing you toward your next evolution. The question is not whether you will experience pain, but whether you will let it break you or build you. Your identity is the invisible blueprint that shapes everything you do. It's not just what you say you want or what you plan to achieve. It's who you believe you are at your core. Most people try to change their behavior first, thinking that actions will automatically create the life they desire. But without a clear sense of identity, behavior is temporary. You might stick to a habit for a few days or even months, but when the old identity calls, you fall back into the same patterns. True transformation starts with redefining who you are. When you consciously decide, this is who I am, every decision becomes easier. Your choices no longer fight against your beliefs. They flow naturally from them. For example, someone who identifies as disciplined doesn't argue with themselves about working out, studying, or focusing. They simply do it because it's who they are. Identity is like a compass. Once it points in the right direction, actions follow effortlessly. Without it, even the best strategies and plans feel like constant struggle. Most people live lives that don't match their true potential because they never define themselves consciously. They adopt labels given by circumstances, upbringing, or society, and then act according to those limits. I'm not athletic. I'm not smart enough. I'm not lucky. These are all identity statements that shape behavior. Until you rewrite those internal scripts, your actions will always mirror the old story, no matter how badly you want a new outcome. Changing behavior without changing identity is like painting over rust. It might look better temporarily, but the underlying problem will resurface. Identity creates permanence because it redefines the baseline of what is acceptable for you. When you see yourself as a certain type of person, your mind, your body, and even your environment adjust to reflect that reality. You start attracting opportunities, people, and challenges that are aligned with this new version of yourself. Every time you act in alignment with your chosen identity, it reinforces who you are. Confidence builds, self-respect grows, and new possibilities appear. You no longer have to rely on motivation or willpower to act because your behavior has become an automatic expression of who you've decided to be. This is how extraordinary people operate. They don't try harder. They simply embody the identity that produces extraordinary results. The power of identity is that it makes change inevitable. When your identity is clear, excuses lose their meaning. Laziness, fear, and doubt are no longer acceptable because they contradict who you know yourself to be. By consciously choosing the person you want to become, you align your actions, thoughts, and decisions in a way that propels you forward naturally. Identity doesn't just guide behavior. It transforms it from struggle into effortless alignment. The life you live tomorrow is being written by the choices you make today, often in moments no one else notices. What you demand of yourself when no one is watching sets the trajectory of your future. Success isn't about dramatic gestures or occasional bursts of effort. It's about the consistent standards you uphold every single day. Every repeated choice, every habit, every small act of discipline compounds, shaping the reality you will wake up to months and years from now. Most people underestimate the power of consistency because it doesn't feel dramatic. Skipping one workout, procrastinating 1 hour, or giving in to one excuse seems harmless, but these small compromises slowly define who you are and what you accept in life. Your future self is the result of hundreds, even thousands, of these small moments. Each day is a vote for the life you will eventually inherit. Your standards are like seeds. What you plant consistently is what grows. When you raise your daily standards, you raise your life. It's not enough to have big goals or lofty dreams. You must back them up with consistent behavior that aligns with those ambitions. If you want health, you eat and move in ways that support it every day. If you want wealth, you save, invest, and grow your skills without fail. If you want respect, you honor commitments and act with integrity consistently. Daily standards turn abstract goals into tangible realities. The most successful people are often not more talented or fortunate. They are simply relentless in the standards they demand of themselves. They show up even when it's inconvenient, push forward when it's uncomfortable, and do what others won't because no one is watching. These private victories are what create public success. Excellence is built in moments that nobody applauds, but these are the moments that define everything. Consistency also shapes your mindset. When you refuse to compromise your standards, you start to believe in your own reliability, discipline, and capability. Confidence grows because you prove to yourself repeatedly that you can handle discomfort, follow through, and rise above excuses. Your identity strengthens, your choices sharpen, and your environment begins to align with the high standards you set for yourself. Ultimately, the life you want doesn't come from luck, external validation, or occasional inspiration. It comes from the standards you uphold day in and day out. Every time you demand more from yourself, you stretch the boundaries of what you thought was possible. Every choice to act with excellence compounds into a future that reflects the best version of yourself. Your life is not shaped by chance. It is sculpted by the invisible rules you live by consistently, especially when no one is watching. In the end, the one truth that ties all of this together is simple, lasting change. Real success and a life worth living are not created by luck, fleeting motivation, or wishes. They are created by the choices you make, the standards you uphold, and the identity you commit to every single day. When you raise your standards, take decisive action, embrace discomfort, align with your true identity, and honor your daily commitments, even when no one is watching, Your life has no choice but to rise. The moment you decide to demand more from yourself is the moment everything changes, and from that point forward, your future becomes a reflection of the best version of you, not the version you once tolerated.